Hey everybody, it's me, Kai Man. I wanted to do a quick video, and I won't say quick because it may be lengthy. Who knows when I get to talking. But I wanted to really share with you guys some things about relationships and what they've meant to me and how I've come to be where it is that I am and where I was. And hopefully by the end of this video, my sharing some of the things that have happened to me or that I have allowed or that I've done in relationships to not infect, but affect you in a positive way. First and foremost, I need to say thank you to everyone that I've ever been in a relationship with. I want to say thank you to them because they've taught me some part of growth in some way, shape, or form. And I want to apologize to them for not being or acting in the fullness of who it is that I am and that I know myself to be. And let me explain that a little bit. I was married for almost like 10 years, like very short of 10 years. And in that relationship, I was very young, very, very young. I probably should have been off in college somewhere, but I was very young. And when you're young like that, you really don't know who you are, and you use your past experiences, like the experiences of your parents and those people that you've been privy to be around, and you use those as gauges for relationships. So basically, I didn't know anything, and then I brought these three beautiful sons that I have into the world, not really knowing anything. But in that relationship, there was no way for me to be, and I'm not giving an excuse, there was no way for me to really know who I was fully. And so I apologize in that particular relationship for kind of delving into something that I probably should have waited for. I should have probably waited to find out more about who it is that I am, so that some of the things that occurred in that relationship didn't happen. So I apologize for that. Now, in relationships after that, I have gauged whatever it is that I've learned from the previous relationship, and I brought that into the next relationship. So for example, let's say if I was really hurt in the past relationship, and whatever that thing that hurt me, I'm not going to let that happen again in this relationship. Instead of going into that relationship full of love and understanding and learning from those experiences, but not allowing them to taint the next experience or to taint myself, and to understand that those particular things that I learned in the previous relationships were experiences that were to help me grow and not to stunt my growth. And so that's one part of it. But when you go into a relationship and you say, well, I'm not going to allow what I've learned in that last relationship to happen again to me. And so you try and say, well, I'm going to do things differently. And when you go into a relationship wanting to do things differently, or what we would consider to be better in the next relationship, you have to be in a relationship with someone who is on that same wavelength as you. Because if they're not in the same wavelength as you, or the same frequency as you, and you're trying to be this better person, and they haven't had that same experience, or maybe they have, but they're still using that experience to keep their guards up, then what it is that you're doing is not going to work. So I have to apologize for being in relationships where I knew that they were one-sided, and that things were not going to grow in the way that they should grow. And then what happens is I tend to relinquish what it is that I believe that is supposed to be the thing that I should be doing for me, and kind of gauge myself by what they're doing. So I apologize for that. Now, I apologize for, there's a ton of things that I could sit here and really apologize to, people that I've been in relationships with, but I hope that they truly understand that I wish that I could have been a better person. But those experiences that they allowed me into their lives gained something for me, and I hope that I, added some value to them as well. Now, to really say why it is that I'm doing this video. I'm doing this video because I'm in a relationship now that really expands and challenges me to really do things on a higher level constantly. And so, although I thought in the past, that I was this person who was really, loving and all these different things, and mostly I am a loving person. But there's two sides of everything, and not so much as two sides, there's two poles of everything. So just as nice and sweet and honorable and faithful and trusting and all these things, there's also the other pole, or the other side of me, or we call the light side and then the darker side. And on that other side, there's some things to me that yes, of course I need to apologize for, because I've done some things. And so within this particular relationship, it has allowed me to understand some of the things that I've experienced in my past and why I experienced those things. First of all, in the relationship that I am currently in, we do a lot of talking. If a lot of people who know me to be a very quiet person, I kind of sit around and I watch a lot of things. This relationship requires that I be an active participant. And so I am really grateful for that, because in relationships, we always say these things that we want. And this was something that I wanted, but I didn't know how to go about it. And so if you're not, again, if you grow up around relationships where you don't see your parents talking, or you don't see the people that are in relationships talking, then you kind of replicate that same thing. And so for me, not to say that I didn't talk in my relationships, because we did talk about things, but we didn't talk about those deep things. And I think sometimes for me, because of who I am and the nature of who I am, I do like to talk about things that a lot of people don't like to talk about. And so what happens in previous relationships, people will tell me I was too deep, or it's not that serious, or you're draining to me, or things of that nature, when this relationship allows me to explore those depths. And it has done wonders for my soul. I can't even tell you. But being able to have conversation in such a way that grows you from the inside out, and that you feel so confident within yourself that when you talk to your partner, that they are listening intently, and that they're listening with the ears of love, and they don't judge, or they're not telling you that you're draining, or that what you're saying is too deep, I don't want to hear. They're just as deep as you, and they want to hear everything that you've got to say. Is the best thing that could possibly happen to anyone. And a lot of times in relationships, when our partners are telling us certain things about our conversation, it begins to stunt our growth, personally, spiritually, and emotionally. And the more that you don't talk, or you don't share those things that are deep within you, and you begin to bury them, they can cause all kinds of health issues, in the future. And so I'm so grateful and thankful that the relationship that I'm currently in allows me to explore the depths of my soul, and that I too in turn allow my partner to do the same. And we just listen, and ask questions. They're not judgmental questions, but ask questions to even broaden the scope of what it is that, each of us are really saying. And have you thought about this, or how does that make you feel? And this, just having that experience alone, I can't even really go into detail how important that is, but it's so important. So that's one thing that I have grown and learned, and it's making me such a better person within this particular relationship. Now, it's not to say that, I'm still not, shedding some of those layers of some of those past relationships. I'm not shedding some of the things that I have done that are not in line with, what I deem is the correct or the right way for me to be within this relationship. It's a process. It really is a process. And so within this relationship as well, what happens for me is that I am able to experience love on another level, a level that I've never experienced before, or haven't even. I'm trying to watch my time and not go over, and I'll probably end up doing a part 2 to this because I am like rambling or talking a whole bunch. But anyway, what I have really come to know is that talking about things and allowing yourself to understand the scope of you, who you are, and the scope of the person of who you're in relationship with, it makes your relationship that much better. I'm going to start and go ahead and quickly talk about when I got into this relationship. There was one other thing that I really wanted to do, was I wanted to be able to have a relationship with my partner that where we shared everything. We left nothing out. We were the best of friends. We could talk about anything and everything, no matter how difficult it is. Even though it would be difficult, I wanted to be in a relationship where we were able to still, lovingly share some things that may hurt the other person, but that we could, grow together and learn from it and move forward, using that as a lesson or an experience that we both can catapult from. And so I said all that to say that before I got into this particular relationship that I'm in, we wanted to do things completely different. Everything that we had done in the past, we said we are going to do things differently, which meant that we were going to share everything with each other. We're going to tell each other everything. We're going to not leave anything out. We're going to talk about things. And we had a whole host of things that we were going to do. And so even before we really got to that part of it and just kind of being friends, my partner, who was not my partner then, would always share with me where she was going. And I'm going to go such and such, and I'll be here for this amount of time, and then I have to go to this meeting and whatever, and just sharing those things with me. And I thought, how dope is that? I've been in relationships in the past where if I even asked where you were going, that it was a problem. It was as if I was trying to keep tabs on you, and it wasn't that. Where I am the only one of my family who lives here. Outside of my son, I have a son who moved here shortly after. But I have been every place since I have left Florida by myself, which means that I have no family. And so I wanted to be in relationships where I could say where it is that I'm going, so that if something should happen to me, if I don't come back, you knew that I was going wherever the place it is that I was going. And then the same with you. I wanted us to be able to have that kind of relationship. But none of my relationships afforded me that, because it always, I guess, seemed as though I was asking that question to keep tabs on them. And it really wasn't about that. But I'm going to stop this video and then I will start part 2. Be back in a minute.